Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pop Culture Podcast. It's your little boy Tyson Popplestone. What's I'm not sure. I got excited. I was excited. It's been a week, and by the time a week comes around, I spent too much time thinking about how I'm going to greet you. And the truth is, it always comes out the same way. It comes out with too much excitement and just regret on my part. The fact that I can't edit that out. But here we are. I hope you've all had a fantastic week. My week's been going well. I've got that song. It came on the radio today, and it really just added a little bit to my day. I'm pretty sure it was released in the 90s. I want to try and get the tune right for you, but singing's never a strong point. It goes, what is it? 7 seconds. 7 seconds away. I'll be waiting. It's not a one night stand. I'm not 100% sure of the lyrics, but it's got that kind of tune to it. I heard it this afternoon. I thought, man, how could one man be in a better mood? How could one man be in a better mood? And then me and Jesse had an argument. I don't want to get into the details. We had an argument. There's different approaches to arguments. I get a little emotional. I'm too emotional with an argument. I let it get to me too much, and I start saying things I don't mean. I start saying we need marriage counselling, and Jessie looks at me, and she's got the ability to be logical in those moments and go, look, are you saying this because you're emotional? I go, no, I'm saying this because our marriage is on the rocks. And she goes, look, babe, I think just this morning you're telling me how happy you are in our marriage. Do you really feel as though our marriage is on the rock and we need counselling? Because if you do, we can get some counselling. And I'm like, I feel like I'm getting in trouble from the principal. The principal always came at you with so much logic and that patronising voice to let you know you've been a very naughty boy. And as Jessie starts bringing logic and reason and a little bit of a patronising voice to the argument, I go, okay, you know what? I can see that I'm the immature one here. At least I can see you believe that I'm the immature one here. And I mean, I wouldn't. If I wanted to get really open with you guys about what we were arguing, you would probably agree that I was the immature. It's not that it's immature; it's just emotional. Emotions is you got to control those emotions, don't you? Because before you know it, you're crying on a stranger, holding their leg, and just asking them to rub your head and tell you everything will be okay. And I mean, that happened once. It happened once in my life, but it doesn't matter how many times you hold a stranger's leg and just ask them to rub you on the back of the neck. It's uncomfortable and not a standard that any man should bring themselves to. So that was it. But then whenever you think about 7 seconds away, it's got a good rhythm to it. I didn't know it had like a little bit of Spanish at the start of the song. It just, I don't know, it just exposes you to a whole nother culture. I said to Jessie as we were driving into Geelong today, I go, babe, play 7 seconds away. And she did, and she started the song, and I thought, no, it's the wrong one, because on Australian radio in the late 90s, I just remember the girl's voice singing 7 seconds away. But it's a good part of the song. I don't care what, she didn't like it, but the truth is she's got a great appreciation for music. I was about to tell you she doesn't appreciate good music, but she appreciates it even more. She's a musician. She's great on guitar. She's a great singer. In fact, it probably is a shit song now I think about it, because she's told me it's a shit song. But hey, we'll get through it, ladies and gentlemen. Marriage is it's a beautiful. What do you call it? You can't say roller coaster, because roller coasters have twists and turns, and I mean it's a fairly good metaphor. It's a fairly good analogy to explain what a marriage is like, but the truth is, it's got more highs than lows. But just this afternoon, a little bit of emotion crept out of Poppy, and then Jessie's good as well, because she'll always come back to me and she goes, "Hey, have you calmed down?" I go, "Yeah, I've calmed down a bit." She goes, "Do you want to hug it out?" I go, "I just need a cuddle. Can you just give me a hug?" Because you see a stereotype of what a man is in a relationship, and you go, "Okay, they're a rock, like they're stable. These guys just bring calm when there's a storm. They just bring peace when there's anxiety." And then in our marriage, I get emotional and start saying we need counselling. And so that's what that's what we're walking through. I caught up with a mate for coffee this afternoon and told him about what happened. And I told him my response. He goes, "Yeah, dude, it's an area you can work on." I go, okay. I was looking for a little more comfort than what you've just given me. But I think it's pretty clear from this point forward I'm going to have to work on the the emotions. But I mean, you got to be honest. You can see emotions. You can see emotions flying out everywhere. That's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Talking about emotions. Did you see the great man last week? I spoke about Bailey Smith from the Western Bulldogs Football Club. I was praising him last week because he was bringing the headbutt back to the AFL in a sport that's gone a little bit too pussy in the last few years because of I'm going to say corporate commitments. Last week, I was happy to see him bring the headbutt back in. got a little Irish boy and just gave him a little whack in the head, gave him a little raspberry right on the forehead, and it was beautiful to see. I said, hey, how can this guy get any better? He's such a gun. He's so good looking. He's got the best mullet in the game. He can play the game well. He's just universally loved. He's gone out this week and one-upped himself, getting done as a professional athlete for getting a little bit on the cocaine, which, to be fair, is I think it's the drug of choice for many AFL footballers. But the problem he's found himself in is this one went viral on Instagram, and as a result, everyone in the world, including me, like we've all got an opinion on what's taken place. But he's there's a number of ways that you can look at this situation. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Bailey Smith, gun footballer here in Australia, and one of the things we know is he's dealt with some mental health issues over the last couple of years. He's been fairly open about it, and he's blamed his drug use on his anxiety. He's crippling anxiety, which is just making his life difficult. And like for anyone who's tried a little bit of cocaine, you've got to be careful with cocaine because some of the side effects are not just euphoria and feeling like you're the king of the world, but just crippling anxiety, paranoia, and psychosis. Just to chuck a spanner in the works. But the beauty with this guy and the beauty with this story is that everything he just touches turns to gold. Like you look at the news this week, it's just an absolute wet dream for them, because the truth is, who wouldn't want to have a face like this guy on the front of the news and talk about how, even though it looks like he's got his life together, he's dealing with this crippling addiction, this bad cocaine habit, and all of a sudden everyone in Australia, we're looking at him and going, man, like this really brings the game into disrepute. That's what everyone's worrying about. Truth is, the problem is, when a guy like that does cocaine, a 14-year-old kid goes, oh my God, like cocaine is a cool drug. If Bailey Smith's doing it, like what are we going to do? There's a few factors going on here, and it's been such an interesting one to watch, because all of a sudden we know the news needs some stories. We know that Channel 7 needs to report on something, and when a handsome man like this gets his hands on some cocaine, we go, this is going to sell out stories all week. I've been sucked right into it. I'm not sure how many bags I've bought just through being on the pages that they've been advertised to me through hearing about this story, but it sucked me right in. And how can it not? But the best part about the whole thing is people are talking about, like, what do we need to do? Like, how do we help this athlete? Truth is, no one gives a shit about the athlete. We're all just looking for an opportunity to capitalize on what's happened to this poor bloke. He's dealt with anxiety. He's been caught with a little bit of drugs. The problem, through a week of listening to stories, it boils down to this: AFL players, if you're going to do cocaine, don't do it in public. That's literally what it boils down to, because a couple of months ago, an ex-wife of an ex-footballer, Nadia Bartel, got caught doing cocaine off a plate, posted on Instagram, and her sponsors dropped her straight away. They said, no, okay, like we can't have this being associated with our brand. The reason Bailey Smith's onto a good thing is because he's been done with cocaine. Everyone's talking about it. And every one of his sponsors has stood up and said, you know what? All right, look, Coke's not a great look, but this guy's so bloody handsome. Look at his eyes. If you don't believe me, I was driving along the freeway the other day, and at the moment here in Melbourne, he's a main sponsor for like a Cotton On ad. And he's got him up on a billboard, and his pecs are out, his chiseled abs are out, his gorgeous eyes are out, his flowing mullet, which has been bleached, is out. And a couple of weeks, I didn't notice because I was looking at the car ahead of me. As we were driving along though, I just saw my wife's head going like this. I go, sweetie, what are you looking at? She's like, nothing. I looked up and I go, oh my gosh, how can you not look? How can you not look? Cotton On, I know you got to sell product, but at the same time, you got to be careful with where you put these ads, because the truth be told is this is going to cause some car accidents. He's a gorgeous man. But that's when you know you're onto a good thing, isn't it? When you've been done for an illicit drug and your sponsors go, we can't take him away. We've sold so many jocks because of this guy. You're onto a winner. But what are you supposed to do with that? There's so many levels. Obviously, we've got to look out for the young kids who are playing footy. Truth is, we want them to aspire to be the footballer, not the drug taker. But those things, I mean, there's a couple at every team. If you're a footballer, who is it on your team? Maybe a whole team does it. You get out in the quarterfinal, you get out in the prelim every single year, and you go, well, this is the best day of the year because right now we can all go and get plastered on cocaine together because it's team building, it's bonding, and then if you get caught, you come out and you say it's because of mental illness. But the truth is, people just like the way it feels. They just like the way it feels. So let's just be honest. Bailey Smith, this is what people are worried about. They're worried about how cool you're making cocaine look. All right? I've never tried it before. I've never had any interest. I saw you with that bag and I go, you know what? I wanted to watch Scarface and I wanted to try cocaine. They're the two things. They're the only things that we're worried about. Truth is, his career is going to come back in no time because he got 2 weeks for headbutting. He only got 2 weeks for cocaine. So, as a start point, the AFL is not taking it too seriously. Like 2 weeks for something like that. You get 6 weeks for punching a guy in the face. Now, the story they're trying to tell is that cocaine is worse than punching a guy in the face. But if that was true, you'd be getting more time for your crime. So, Bailey says, watch this. I reckon this is going to be a blessing for his career because it's going to turn into a story of triumph, of overcoming, and one that I'm cheering for. So Bailey Smith, well done. Hey, you've upped yourself again this week. I don't want to come here next week because you've been done for, it's just all very Scarface, isn't it? If you start 1 week with a headbutt, which we spoke about last week, this week you've graduated to cocaine use. Next week, I'm nervous you're going to have a machine gun and you've joined a gang. All right, so just slow it down a little bit. Take your 4 weeks. Calm down a little bit. We're all cheering for you. AFL, come on now. Like, you can't even hide the fact that you're impressed by this story. It's kind of disappointing. Media out there, well, I'd be doing exactly what you do. Make the money on the story while you can because soon enough he's just going to be back to being your chiseled god of a man who can play football. So, gee, it was interesting to see that one. It was interesting to see that one this week. He's... I don't know. I'm fascinated by him. It's funny how some people just capture your attention, isn't it? And I'm not sure. Like, to be a Bailey Smith style player, you've got to be that kind of guy that, okay, sure, you can play footy, you can kick the footy. But I think the cherry on top is how bloody good looking he is. My friend's wife is in a group message with a bunch of girls. And like the girls, the conversation just goes back and forth with photos of him. I even started just trying to message a photo of myself with my shirt off just to say, hey, look, can you compare the two of us? And the comment was, wow, his nipples are large, aren't they? Like, can you delete that one and just get back to Bailey? Honestly, he's bringing back cocaine and the mullet. So, hey, in no time, we'll feel like we're back in the mid-'80s. It's interesting as well. Like you've just got to be a little more discreet. I know I just said that. You've got to be more discreet with the way you're using cocaine. There was a bloke in the NFL back in the 70s or 80s, and he had such a coke habit that I think it came to halftime and he was out there and there's stories of him. I don't know exactly. I'm not a cocaine user. I'm not overly interested in it. I get too freaked out by stories about fentanyl. I hear about these fentanyl stories like, oh my gosh, it's a death sentence. But I'm also, as I said, quite emotional. So I can overhype things in my mind. That's not an endorsement for cocaine, despite the whole fact that the Bailey Smith story I just spoke about sounds as though it was. But yeah, there's a guy in the NFL. Was it Terry Hutchinson or someone? He had such a bad habit that in the middle, I think it was Super Bowl 13, he went back into the locker room and was doing a couple of little cheeky lines before he went back out there. And apparently his coke habit was so bad, it cuts away the cartilage in the middle of your nose. And it's like, I was listening to Steve-O's podcast the other day. He was saying that he was quite an avid cocaine user, and his biggest trick was getting I think it was a shoelace or a piece of pasta, and he threaded it through his nose and through the hole in his nose and was doing one. That's when you know your cocaine habits, it's got away from you a little bit. If you've got a cooked piece of pasta through the hole in the middle of your nose because that's eroded and you're doing this, that says more about you than it does the pasta. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the answer to that question is, but I think if we boiled it all down, it's just be more careful with who sees you do the coke because, hey, we're not all lucky enough to be Bailey Smith. Sometimes your sponsors will drop you. It's interesting, the news. I don't know if they shouldn't struggle for news stories anymore because there's so many ridiculous stories out there that are just fun to report. But I guess you need to tap into our emotions a little bit, don't you? You can't just be giving us good stories. You can't just be giving us sad stories and scary stories and COVID and tidal waves and bloody energy crisis. You got to chuck in a little happy story every now and then. But one of my favorite stories of the week. Did you see? So it's so random. Some foods at the moment in Australia have just shot through the roof in terms of price. Now, there's been so much talk about inflation. There's been so much talk about things that just, things aren't going super well for Australia at the moment in a lot of respects. And one of the things that we've been speaking about lately is just how much the prices of just general day-to-day goods have gone up. My mum bought a broccoli the other day. It was $8. Which is preposterous in its entirety. I'm not sure how much you usually pay for a broccoli, but it was a small head of broccoli. I'm not talking about like a beach ball sized piece of broccoli. It was just a standard. You could fit half it in a smoothie and you wouldn't even be that full. But she got that the other day. And then lettuce here is $10. $10 a bunch for a lettuce. Which I don't know anyone. I'm not sure anyone who is that passionate about lettuce. I mean, is it a fruit or vegetable? I think it's considered a vegetable, but I get confused with that. I get confused with that and a tomato. Because every now and then they'll chuck one at you and they'll go, hey, this is a fruit. You go, that's a potato. How is that a fruit? That's not gospel. I'm not sure that a potato is fruit. But, I mean, it's got to make you wonder, doesn't it? But my favourite part of this is people have been kicking up a stink because KFC have obviously just been whacked by the lettuce storm. They must go through a few lettuces because KFC have been caught out this week putting cabbage in their burgers rather than the gold mine of lettuce, and you know, consumers of cabbage at KFC have they're fired up a little bit because of the fact that they wanted they didn't want the cabbage. They go to KFC because that's where they get their lettuce, and as a result they're fired up. Now there's a few things. If you're going to KFC, you're not there for the lettuce or the cabbage. Let's be honest. You're there for the chicken. You're there for the fat. You're not thinking too carefully about your health, especially if it's on a regular basis. Now I'm not saying you're not healthy. I'm just saying that if you're doing it in that moment that you're eating the KFC, you're not thinking, gee, this is good for my body. Are you? Like, it might be good a little bit for your mind. It feels bloody good for your mind. It's like a massage to your mind just to know that you're eating. You know, it's more than likely pigeon, but it's delicious pigeon labeled as chicken. So I love the fact that people are firing up, going, I didn't pay for bloody cabbage in my burger. I wanted just get the chicken, cockhead. That's what you're there for. Stop pretending. I mean, if we were at Boost Juice and they started swapping bananas with French fries, it'd be more of a problem. But you're at KFC, which I've seen more men with man boobs going to KFC than I have, you know, alpacas on farms or whatever. I struggled with that comparison because I was thinking on my feet. And alpacas aren't really a super popular farm animal from what I can tell. You never drive past a farm of alpacas as casually as you drive past a farm of cows. If I drove past a farm of alpacas, you would look and you go, hey, there's a farm of alpacas. But you drive past a farm of cows, you go, you know what? It's just, that's where they're supposed to be. But it's just, I just find that funny. I don't know why it's so funny to me. Why is it that people are so uptight about it? I think cabbage is more nutritious. Is that true? I think I've just made that up. I don't have any qualifications in nutrition or anything. I shouldn't be making comments about the health benefits of certain foods, but I know personally, like if I had it in a salad, I would go for the lettuce as well. But I don't know. I find it ironic just to know that people who are eating at KFC are firing up about the fact that they wanted lettuce, not cabbage, when the truth is they're not that fussed. They're not that fussed. They should be focusing on how many push-ups they can do to get rid of their man boobs. You know, they should be focused on whether that chicken is real chicken or whether it was the pigeon that was standing at the front door just last week. I don't know. Speaking of standing at the front door just last week, I don't want to compare this bloke to a chicken. I went to go into the comics lounge here in Melbourne the other day, and there was a homeless guy standing there. And, man, the homeless have upped their game. The homeless have really upped their game. Now, this guy was committed to the cause as well. That's why I felt I had to help him, because I was about to go up to the comics lounge. I watched a bit of comedy, came down an hour later, and the guy was still standing there. I thought, man, this is, okay, he's a legit homeless man. Surely this guy's legit. Because that's some commitment to the cause, isn't it? If you're standing there for an hour minimum, it was a cold night as well, you're doing it tough. So as I walked outside, I walked past the guy and deliberately didn't make eye contact because I didn't want to have the conversation. It's just awkward. I don't know what to say. It's not because... I guess it is because I don't care about the guy. That sounds horrible, though. You're not supposed to admit you don't care, but if you don't make eye contact, you don't feel like it's obvious that you don't care. And I walk past him and he goes, good evening, sir. I go, oh, here we go. I couldn't just ignore him. I go, how you going, mate? How are you? And he goes, you can't spare me $10, can you? I've got no money. I said, mate, I honestly don't. I emptied my pockets. And I was telling him the truth. I had my phone and I had my car keys. And he's like, oh, do you have the wallet app on your phone? I go, I do, mate. Yeah, I do. He's like, you're not able to get some cash out for me from that? I go, well, problem is, mate, you can't get cash out. As much as I want to help you, you can't get cash out on the wallet app at the moment. I need my actual card. And he goes, well, good news. I've got a tap device. So if I connect that right now, would you be willing to give me $10? I thought, fuck, he's got me. Like, what homeless dude has a tap and go card in his pocket where I can make a direct deposit to him? Like, they're $150, I think, and I'm pretty sure you have to have it registered with an ABN, like a business number, to be affiliated with it. So how is it that I've just been sucker punched into, like, it's weird. I wouldn't have even gone into IGA and spent $10 without thinking about it. Now this guy's bloody sucker punched me going, in fairness, here's the thing. He told me he's looking for a bed for the night, and I don't know if he's making it up or whether he is, but it was cold, and I was thinking, I have to give him $10. I have to give him $10, and because usually this is true. Usually the account that we do our like daily pass out of we transfer money there when we need it, and I forgot the next morning we were buying a car and we had to have all the money of our account in there, and so I went to show him how much we had in our bank account, because I thought I don't want this guy to think I'm lying, and usually it's like $0.07. I thought, okay, if I don't tap and go home, I'll just show, so I look like the biggest cockhead, biggest flex, because the car the next day it was $25,000. And I go, mate, so I'm struggling a little bit. I've got no money. And I flashed the phone around. It just says $25,000. He looked at me like I was such a prick. He goes, mate, you can't spare more than 10. I go, dude, look, I know this looks preposterous right now, but that's all the money. That's just all the money that we've ever been able to save our whole life. It's going to a car tomorrow. Like, you got to understand, if I give you 20 things, you're actually quite tight for us as well. So he goes, that's all right, mate. No, it's all right. You know, some people are more generous than others. And I thought, well, you can't heckle me as I'm trying to give you. I'm literally using PayPass to give you accommodation. What homeless man has a PayPass is my question. You're a walking FPOS machine. I heard rumours about this guy. Like when that tap and go came in, I heard people freaking out. Nah, people are just going to walk past your handbag and just scan. Like they'll enter an amount and they'll just walk past your handbag and hold it. He should just be doing that, really. I'm not sure how far into the pocket that particular device can pick up, but I mean, surely that's more effective. And it's not as awkward. Like, you got to have a certain level of confidence to be able to approach a person and go, hey, you happy to give me 10? Just PayPass it. And then he pulled out an iPhone. He had a better iPhone than me. He's putting out an iPhone so he could connect it to his device. I go, mate, honestly, like, what is going on here? You've got more money than me. I started saying to him, mate, like, you don't reckon you could lend me 20, do you? Because things are a little tough in the Popplestone household at the moment. Do you reckon you might be able to just send that back next week? Like, I'll give you an IOU tonight, but maybe next week I'll give you my bank details and you can maybe hook me back up. He was lovely. There was something slightly off with him as well. Like, I'm not sure whether there was something off, because the timing with what he was saying was wrong. Like, he thanked me once I pay past him, and I walked away, and I'm not kidding. I was 100 meters away from him, and he just yelled out, "Thank you." Thank you. I go, mate, usually, I'm not sure what was just happening in your head, but the thank you usually comes the moment I leave. So as much as I appreciate the fact you thanked me, that was a very strange experience. I turned around and gave him a wave, because I wanted people to know that he was talking to me, because you can't just be paying a homeless man and not be seen for doing it, can you? Because otherwise, what's the point? If a tree falls over in the forest and no one hears it, did it really happen? Exactly. If Tyson gives a homeless man $10 and no one knows about it, I mean, how's he going to look like a good bloke is the question that I have. I'm not sure why I'm waiting for you. Like, you can answer me, because I understand this is a one-way conversation, but it felt inappropriate for me to talk over what might have been your answer. So what I'm saying is, watch yourself. If you're trying to get away from paying homeless people, don't even have your card on you these days. Don't even have your phone, because those shifty little buggers are carrying iPhone 12s and they've got tap and go on their person, as they say. This is awkward. It's an awkward conversation. Oh no, do you know what was awkward? Okay, but this is awkward on two fronts. So, all right, here's the thing. I've had, just between me and you, I've had the itchiest ass for ages. I just keep walking around scratching. I keep saying to Jessie, babe, I've got the itchiest ass. Why is my ass itchy? I've never had an itchy ass like this. And I've been saying that now, I reckon, for a year and a half. And it's too itchy. It was getting real bad. She goes, babe, you got hemorrhoids, you dick. She goes, show me. I go, I'm not showing you. She goes, just show me, you asshole. I'm not going to, sweetie, I don't want to show you my asshole. So we've been married for a long time. Just show it to me. I couldn't show my wife my asshole. But anyway, she goes, babe, just go. If you don't want to get it seen, book in for the doctors. I go, what are they going to do? What's the doctor going to do? They're going to have to say, I'd rather show you my asshole than Dr. Joe, who I walk past each morning. You know, when I'm taking my little boy out to get a bubba I'm getting a coffee. I don't want Dr. Joe. I don't want the feeling of that. This is the problem with a small town. Small town doctors have that problem. You have to be able to navigate, all right, which doctor will I show my asshole to so that on tomorrow's walk he doesn't look at me and just have a flashback. You don't want your local doctor to, each time you go to the coffee shop, just to see your face and it reminds you of the day he had to ask you to bend over and look inside your asshole. And so I didn't want to put that on any of us. And so rather than putting that on any of us, and mostly on me, like I honestly, personally, when I think about it, I don't really care if he sees my asshole, because it's probably quite cute. I was going to say is what I've heard, but I've never been in a position. Like, don't go getting any theories. People often confuse me as a gay man. I shouldn't just be saying how lovely my asshole is, because that only adds fuel to the fire, doesn't it? For any gay man listening, I hope this is an attractive image, because it'd be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's well maintained usually, but it's just been. So I said to Jessie, I go, babe, look, I can't go to the doctor. She goes, well, just go to the chemist and get some hemorrhoid cream. I go, sweetie, here's the truth. I'm not going to anyone to ask about asshole cream. I don't want anyone to know. I just don't want to have that conversation. She goes, well, you've been at this for a year and a half. Would it make you feel better if I went and got it for you? I go, well, yeah, it would actually. It would make me feel a lot better. I would much rather you go and get it. She goes, good, well, I'm pregnant. I'll duck in and I'll have the quick, awkward conversation with you and I'll be right out of there. Because as a pregnant woman, hemorrhoids are quite common. The pharmacist will see me and go, oh, poor lady's got hemorrhoids in her asshole because of the fact she's pregnant. Let's help her. So she went down there and she came home. 40 minutes later. She was pissing herself laughing. I go, sweetie, what's happened? What is so funny? She goes, mate, you never, ever question my love for you again, because I've just gone to the pharmacy and I've told the doctor that I've got hemorrhoids because you've got them, I think. Hasn't been confirmed. I just want you to know. And the doctor started asking real personal questions like, now, do you know how to apply this lubricant? So if you just insert, you can actually insert the tip of your finger into your anus and you can just spin it around like this. He's like, you can even do like a little mini squat. If that might actually help open the actual rectum a little bit more. You can just slip your finger in, maybe put a little bit of moisture on it. Do you know what I mean? Like just a little bit of moisture. And he's asking her questions about like, do you know how big they are? Do you know how big the hemorrhoids are? Have you had this problem in the past? What does it feel like? What does it feel like? Like, does it get worse after certain foods? Do you feel as though it's worse after you've done a poo, or is it worse just at random? And Jessie's gone. She had to she had to make believe that she had to commit, because it started slow, and before you know it, the pharmacist was talking about having your index finger in your asshole and just doing your best to make these things go away. And that's exactly what I was trying to avoid through this conversation. I didn't want to have that conversation, and so next time you see Jessie, should just politely ask her how her asshole's going, because you heard she had some terrible hemorrhoid. Don't ask that, because honestly, there's certain things that you shouldn't ask a person, especially if you've never met before. If you've never met my wife before and the first thing you said to her was, how's your asshole? I can tell you that she wouldn't take it well. She's just that kind of person. I don't know, she likes small talk. But like even me sometimes, if I came home and said to her, hey babe, how's your asshole? She'll go, just ask me how my day's going. Ask me what I did with Charlie. Ask me if he slept. Ask me if he ate his lunch. Ask me how I'm feeling. Ask me how did I manage my time with my son. Don't walk in the door and say, babe, how's your asshole? And so these are the things you learn through marriage. And I've been together with my wife now for 14 years, married for 11 of those years. And you would think you would know at this point in the marriage, hey, don't ask the question, how's your asshole? Because it's, I was about to say women respond differently to questions that men do. But to be fair, if she came home and asked me that question, I'd go, sweetie, that is a very, very, it's a very strange way to, I don't know. It's just a very strange way to start a conversation. What else did I had a couple of things. Oh, all right. I got a couple more for you, and then I'll get out of here, because I've got my, as I said, my in-laws are on their way down, and there's another article I wanted to tell you about, because I thought what a rough way to start a marriage. There was a news article about a Chinese dude who he just married his wife, and just as they'd sealed the deal, they had a little competition in front of the whole congregation, in front of the whole audience. They had a little competition, little cute competition. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it entailed, but the wife won, and the husband got so enraged that in front of the whole audience. I'm not laughing at violence against women. I'm just laughing at this one instance of it because it's so inappropriate. Okay, so don't take this as me supporting it. Just take this as me finding it funny, because it's funny because it's the wrong way to start a marriage. He punched her directly in the face. Like, it's just, now I don't know if there was other things going on before this that led to it. Maybe she deserved it. Here's the thing. Maybe she'd said something inappropriate and she just needed to be brought back into... Can you say this anymore? Am I going to be banned? Do I need to explain to you that this is just a joke? I was purely mucking around. There's nothing more that I can say about that for you to believe me. But just what a horrific start to a marriage that is. Anyway, wait, no joke, perfect timing. I've just got a knock at the door from my beautiful father-in-law. You're going to hear his voice in a minute. It gets quite loud, it gets quite rowdy. So as a result, I'm going to keep this one short today, but next week come back to you in style from the USA. So I'll see you then. All right, thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your week. Much love, and I'll see you in a week's time. Bye.